Well, today we have the pleasure and the honor of visiting with Tony Lewis. Big fella, it's good to have you in the dojo. He stopped by, and I thought it'd be good for us to just visit with him a little bit. And first of all, I want to commend him on, he'll be graduating here. He got his last class out of the way, and he's getting his degree. Bobby's going to be real pleased with you.
I hope so.
His mom's going to be very pleased with him. So, but anyway, it's good to have you stop by. Gosh, what a great job he did for us. You know, 3-year starter for us, and 3-time national qualifier, 2-time All-American, and just you know, did a tremendous job for us at heavyweight. But and then really was a heck of a football player. You know, and you know, now has kind of got into the rugby thing. And but anyway, tell us, you know, you're finishing a degree here now, and how's the rugby been going?
Pretty well. I was lucky enough to get chosen to play on a developmental side for the U.S. team again. We played against Argentina and Canada. Don't look up the scores; those are pretty embarrassing. But did all right out there, and hopefully opens a couple more doors for me here in the future.
Well, you know, everybody just, you know, says you're a heck of a rugby player, and so what could open up? What do you think? Where can this take you? Where can the rugby thing take you?
There's always talk about going overseas and playing for teams where rugby's a bigger sport. You know, here in America, it's not such a profound, like, mainstream sport. Whereas overseas, New Zealand, Australia, and Europe, it's really, really big. And, you know, I've had a couple opportunities to play for bigger teams here in the States, but as far as getting my degree and just kind of transitioning into normal everyday life without wrestling, I figured staying here was a good way to go, and got a good job, so just stuck around here and didn't take a couple opportunities. But here in the future, maybe start loosening up and kind of starting to look at more seriously taking some of those.
How'd you ever get into rugby? Tell us about that.
Well, I tried to play football and wrestle at the same time, and the way the UNO sports are, being so competitive, there was just no room for academics and sleep even. You know, wrestling team practicing at 3 o'clock, football team practicing at 6 o'clock, and then again at 1 o'clock. You know, there was just no time to fit in classes or anything, so stuck with wrestling because you guys were giving me scholarships, and one of the football trainers asked me if I'd like to still hit people on the weekends, and showed up to
why were you attracted to that?
I know I don't like brutality, or it just disgusts me. But so I tried it out, loved the sport, loved the camaraderie, and all the things that surrounded it, so I kind of stuck it out, and lucky enough to play a couple games where some big name coaches were at, and they kind of passed my name down the line, said I was young and coming up, and they wanted to get me into the camps where they taught at a higher level right off before I learned bad habits, because I was so fresh to the sport. And I was lucky enough to get on some really good teams and make a name for myself right away, whereas a lot of people don't get those opportunities. And I attribute a lot of that to wrestling, and when I was working out with the football team, you guys just keeping me in shape, and then rugby in the off season keeping me in shape for wrestling as well.
And you spent almost a whole summer, one of the summers, training in was it Ireland?
New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Yeah, 6 weeks, 2 summers ago.
So you got a chance to travel with it?
Yep. I saw Fiji, New Zealand. I was supposed to go to South Africa this year, but didn't have the time or money. And I went to Canada a couple years ago, and then I just got back from Canada as well a few weeks ago. So yeah, I've seen a lot. Played it in New York and all over the States as well. So.
Now, tell us a little bit about the position you play. I mean, you know, most people are probably not familiar with rugby, so I mean, they could kind of identify with football a little bit. So maybe you could
more
parallel.
or less, I'm a glorified lineman. You know, I do a lot of the hitting, but in rugby, everyone gets to carry the ball. So it really appealed to me when they threw me the ball the first time, but I didn't know what to do with it. I've been playing football my whole life, and they threw me the ball, and I just sat there. What? They said run. They just started running. That's I think that's why I like the sport.
And you probably run over a couple people while you're doing it.
I'm a little guy.
Now, number of players on a team?
15.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, Sevens just got admitted into the Olympic Games for the next Olympics, which is 7 players on each team in shorter halves, and then we play with 15 players on each team.
Now, have you ever played that 7-player game?
No. Little guys.
Just more speed.
We got a lot of wrestlers that would be good at that.
Yeah.
Heavier weights, not so much.
So, you're probably, I've actually watched you play, so, gosh, you're a heck of a player out there. But, is it similar to football? Now, the thing is, no pads. That was the thing. I played football for years, but not without pads and a helmet. And
a lot of people say it's a more rough sport, but honestly, we don't really have more injuries or anything than football. It's just, without pads, you're more aware of where your body is because you don't have pads on. And we get a lot of football players that come in and they'll play right away and hurt themselves because they're trying to tackle like they have pads on. And they don't last very long because they find out real fast that it hurts when you don't have that protective layer. So, wrestlers are very good rugby players. They like to recruit a lot of wrestlers just because body awareness and balance and everything. And
matter of fact, they've had people at the national tournaments, the national wrestling tournaments, looking for
Division I nationals. They had a couple coaches there. I met up with them and hung out with them and talked about wrestling. And they sent some coaches to Japan to watch sumo wrestling and study it just because of body awareness, and they love judo and wrestlers and just love it. They don't recruit football very much. It's the sports where it's hand to hand, one on top of the other. Just very close quarters.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I could see why you got some speed, and guys, you're very agile, and of course just the wrestling has to help you so much. Of course, wrestling probably helped me be a football player. Just
right.
Wrestling, and I'm sure it was big for
wrestling. Trickles down to every sport. There's a reason it's the oldest sport because it's the most basic sport there is, and if you're good enough to wrestle on this team, you're good enough to play any sport out there using your wrestling skills. It's a reason why it's the oldest sport.
Well, gosh, again, I commend you, Yogi, for getting that degree, and that was big. I'm proud of you for that. Real proud of you. We're proud of you for that, and of course, we feel very good about you going through our program and what you did, your leadership, and just want to thank you for that. I mean,
I appreciate you guys sticking by me in the tough times. There was a couple times that I was done, and you know that as well as I do. And you guys stuck by me, and Ronnie and I talked about that today. And says, "Well, are you glad we made you stay?" And I'm very thankful for what you guys have done for me, and something that I'll never forget.
Well, thank you for what you've contributed to us, and it's been a pleasure and an honor to coach you and have you part of our program.
Thank you, Coach.